Hi, it's Musolini, the Merchant of Success. Welcome to another episode of Personal Finance and Wealth Creation Podcast. In this podcast, I'm always looking for the best strategists and experts around money and wealth creation who are not just talking about it, but they just living it. Hence, getting and extracting their wisdom for you and I to learn. So, please, if you enjoy this, comment, share, subscribe, and of course, the more you engage with the content, the more you are sending a signal to the algorithms that this is great content and therefore it is spread to more and more people. And of course, in the process, we are able to get more powerful guests for you. Enjoy this show. God bless. Welcome, it's Musolini, the Merchant of Success, and here we are with an amazing guest you're about to hear or learn from, and welcome to the Personal Finance and Wealth Creation Podcast. The purpose for this is really for me to be a student to people I admire, I celebrate, and then also share this wisdom with you. And today we have an incredible gentleman, all lit up, looking sharp, with an amazing watch, which brand I shall not mention, and, and that is Sebastian Uzcategui. And now the pronunciation of that name is quite exotic, the only one I've seen yet. And so, Sebastian, I'm happy to engage with you. And what's amazing is that this is a premiere, this is the first show of its kind to the world. So there must be a reason why we are connecting. My producer said, I found an interesting guest. He was excited. And I decided not to do a lot of research. I wanted this to be as like I've met you at a cafe to have this conversation with you. So for the world, for the world out there that don't know you, who is this cool gentleman before me?
Well, we were speaking a little bit. I was born in Venezuela. I came here at a very young age with an immigrant family. And very early on, I realized here in the United States and the whole world, really, there is an American dream. There is the dream for success. There's a dream for finances, for all these things. But what people never tell you is that there's also a trap, the American trap, you can call that, right? Where in the financial world, especially, you get stuck having to work just to survive. And that's everywhere in the world, really. So from a young age, I developed an obsession with entrepreneurship, with finances, because I saw my parents working day and night and day and night and not have energy for anything, just getting robbed by the system. So I'm just someone who had that passion for finances and decided to learn how to master, exploit, and create my own system out of the pieces of this one.
Wow. So when you say decided, fine, you saw your parents, but I imagine there is always that one turning point that kicks you in the rear to say, man, this isn't enough. I must do something. What was that turning point? And when you say young, at what age exactly?
Oh, well, I started learning about finances and investing as young as the age of 14. Now, my biggest turning point was around the time where I graduated high school at 18. There was a time where both my parents lost their jobs at the same time because they worked in the
Wow.
same place. And what
Wow.
ended up happening was, I mean, they gave almost 20 years of their life for these jobs, right? Almost two
Wow.
decades just to be kicked out on their butt with nothing, right? And I
Wow.
realized, like, life got real. I needed to really step up and be the man that I needed to be for my family and for myself. And that was my big turning point where I decided everything that was up in the air, everything that you learn about. I mean, how much time do we spend learning about something versus how
Yeah.
much time we spend actually acting on that? We know
Ah.
so much, but we don't ever apply that. So I
Yeah.
was really learning so much about finances and entrepreneurship. Uh,
Yeah.
and I didn't do anything with that until that happened. And I'm like, now it's time to apply. It's time to stop thinking about it and just do it, even if it's
Yeah.
not perfect. Just start running.
That's interesting. Two things come to mind. I was telling you that this is the first show. I got the idea for this show literally a few days ago, and I was like, yeah, but I don't have all the lighting and all that stuff. I was like, you know what, just start, because if I'm waiting for perfection, I won't. But when I meet you now and I see the light, that inspires. I'm like, okay, I can. The difference is very clear. I need to do what I need to do. But also in that, experience is the best teacher, because most people wait for perfection and not action. And I remember earlier when we were having a chit chat, you say that for you, entrepreneurship is about starting and the rest is figuring things out. I thought that was
Exactly.
profound. Tell me more about that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the time, let me put it this way, right?
Yeah,
You are a man that has pursued his own dreams and his own visions at some point, right? Think about how
yeah,
much you learn on the road versus how much you learn just watching other people walk that road. You don't really learn that much. I mean, you can spend decades studying what success is, what entrepreneurship is, what, in your case, what podcasts are and the right way to do this or that. You can study that, sure, but you will learn so quickly by just acting, by just doing. And the hardest part of anything entrepreneurial, whether it's making your own personal brand on social media or starting your own business, it's always getting started because you never know where you're supposed to, right? So the best thing to do is walk the road, trip where you're going to trip, fall where you're going to fall, because you know you're going to get back up anyway, and that's fine, And no one's ever perfect right off the bat. So, for example, in my case, I remember when I started my business teaching people finances. Uh, at first, I wasn't even going to do it. I was maybe 18, 19, and
yeah,
I was thinking about this stuff. I was in a sauna, and this is the kind of stuff that I'll say this is a miracle. This is God granted, right? But I was in a
yeah.
sauna at a gym, and I was just talking to my friends about stocks. And someone overheard me and they started asking me questions about it. And I just started answering them and telling them everything that I knew about this stuff. And they said to me, "Hey man, you should start a business teaching people this stuff." And I said, nah, I want to have my social media accounts up and running first. Oh, nah, I want to be, you know, I want to be all these different things first before I do anything. Right. And
Yeah.
he said to me just this, why? And that's true. Why am I going to wait for all that stuff? That's
Yeah.
all of those things that we want to happen before that perfect position. It's always going to move further and further away, right? It's always going to move
Yeah.
further and further. Whenever you have what you thought you needed at first, now you're going to be thinking in your head, oh, but I'm going to just wait till I get this or that or that. It's never going to be
Yeah.
perfect. You have to create your own perfect situation.
Fantastic. And because I like how you say that it's the biggest challenge is starting. So, apart from all what are those big blocks that stop people from starting? What are those excuses you've had? Because I know you've interacted with so many thousands of students directly and all that. So, what have you noticed to be the typical blocks? And in your view, if I have the same block as an example, how do I overcome that? And just to give a personal experience, to give me an insight here, sometimes when I think, okay, how will the world see me with
Mhm.
something imperfect? Because that's one of the things that I was thinking about even the show itself. So what have you know? Yeah, what are those obstacles and the typical solutions in your view?
That's a really good question. So I'll start with what you said. That is definitely one of the biggest blocks is, oh, how will the world see me if it's not perfect? Maybe I want to make this post, but it's not looking good enough or it's still embarrassing or whatever. Well, I'll
Yeah,
tell you one thing. Uh, if you are decisive in your journey, if you know that this is where you have to go, there's no way that you look bad doing something. Maybe at first it isn't perfect, and that's okay, but you only look foolish if you stop halfway, right? If you just
you only
start
look
and you
foolish
know
if you do what?
what was that?
That you said you only look foolish when you do what? I missed that
You stop
bit.
halfway, right? If you
Okay.
stop halfway. So at first, nothing's ever going to be perfect. Frankly, we're all going to look a little funny when we start off doing what we do. It's normal. It's so normal. We're all going to look a little funny. You have
Yeah,
to get past that mental block and just start, right? Now, at first, people might not respect your vision. You'll have some people that are very faithful, but then some people won't respect it. It doesn't matter because it's your vision, not theirs, right? You keep walking your walk, you keep doing it, and there'll be a time where it's undeniable. They will have to respect your vision because it's already a reality, right? So when I started, I mean, I had people make fun of me too when I started posting content and doing this or doing that. And now today I'm speaking in stages with thousands of people on them. And now my vision is undeniable, right? But if I would have stopped halfway, I would have just been another guy that tried doing it, got embarrassed, and stopped. That would have made me
yeah,
look right. So that's definitely the
absolutely.
first block, right? Um, Now the other thing that I do notice, it's indecision, right? It's a lot of indecision. So
Mhm.
you have to decide what you want to do and just fly with it. We live in a
Mm.
time where there's so much opportunity. It's actually too much opportunity, right? And that's
I,
a funny thing to say. Here's why. Have you ever heard of shiny object syndrome? Have you ever heard of that?
yes, and
Yes.
I've been a victim of that.
Me too, man. That was
So,
my first obstacle. That was my first obstacle in business. I was stuck in that because I was doing Amazon FBA here. I was doing trading over here. I was doing a million different things, right? And you can succeed in everything. You can succeed in anything, but not
yeah,
everything, right? You
yeah,
got to pick that one thing, and at least work on that one thing long enough to the point where it's done and it's successful, right? But
interesting.
everything in life at first it's not going to be successful, at first it's not going to be profitable, at first it's probably going to cost you money, and it's not going to make you anything, and it's going to cost a lot of time. That's the reality of entrepreneurship, right? So
Yeah.
pick one thing, dedicate everything to that until you master it. That's how you
And,
overcome that.
and just to validate what you just said, Sebastian, I was listening to Brian Tracy recently, and he said that there was this young man, he came and found Bill Gates and his father, I forget another billionaire, either it was Warren Buffett or Jeff Bezos, and said, what's the one thing that is key to success? And apparently all the three guys turned and they all said one word: focus. And I was like, oh, that sent even chills in my body. I was like, okay, because listening to you, it's like people like us, and I'm one of the, I find myself super creative. Like every day I have a new idea, potential, a new idea. So how, and then I know I can tell that it's been one of the challenges that I'm yet to overcome, because I always have, it's like every day I have multiple potentially multi-million dollar
Right.
ideas. Unlike, say, one of the things I focused on was motivational speaking all these years, but then I pursued these many things. So how does one develop the discipline? How did you develop that discipline to finally say, you know what, I'm going to focus on this and leave these many balls?
That's a good question. It's probably one of the hardest things when it comes to entrepreneurship is being able to really find that focus and where you want to move. Discipline is notoriously the hardest part of entrepreneurship, right? Because
Yeah,
discipline is not motivation. Motivation is super easy. Motivation is when you hear someone tell you something and you feel good and you want to do it. But guess
yeah,
what? You're not going to feel good when you're losing, and you're going to lose a lot, right? That's where
yeah,
discipline comes in. Discipline is doing things that you know you have to do, even when you're losing, even when you're not feeling positive, whatever, right? Now, what I will say, you have to have discipline, for me at least, comes from what I describe as an irrational, almost crazy faith in my vision. And I say that
mhm,
because truly, you have to be almost irrational, almost crazy, even stupid, people will call you sometimes for believing what you believe, because we as
yeah,
humans have a talent, an ability that no other creature in the universe has. And that
yeah,
is, we can struggle, we can suffer, we can bleed, sweat, and cry for something that exists only in our imagination. And through that effort, we make it a reality. But it's unbelievable how much we give for something that only exists in our minds, right? So having that faith in your own vision, regardless
yeah,
of what facts are in your face, that is the key to discipline. And like you said, you have so many potential $1 million ideas every single day. Well, guess what? You're gonna have 100 potential $1 million ideas, but you have to have one actual $1 million business. You can only have one, right? So you have to pick one of
yeah,
those ideas and move with it, because the truth is, you can be successful with anything you can imagine, right? If I really wanted to, I could be the world's best, I don't know, table manufacturer or furniture deal, whatever. It could literally be anything. You can succeed with anything, right?
yeah,
But only
yeah.
if you focus on that one thing.
Wow. And talking about the one thing, what's your one thing now that the world may not be fully aware of? Of course, I have an idea what it is, but it would be good to. What is your one thing and why that one thing for you now?
An amazing question as well. So early on in my career, I was doing, like I said, a lot of different things. I was working with Amazon. I was doing real estate. I got my real estate license at the age of 18, and I was selling
Wow.
properties. Yeah, and I was doing a lot of different stuff at the same time, right? I was making a lot of money at one point, but I
Good.
realized that none of this is mine, right? I'm just a guy that sells stuff on Amazon. Cool. I'm just a guy that sells houses. Cool. But where is my mark on the world? Right. And none of those things were bad, but I wanted to have my own thing. And I knew that I had a deep understanding of investing and finances. And I knew that that's something that other people didn't have because in this industry of finances, it costs thousands of dollars to learn the most basic stuff because everyone in this industry sucks. Honestly, they suck. Everyone is an
Mhm.
Instagram guru with a rented Ferrari making these videos talking about pay me $5,000 for my course. So I knew that there was a problem with the industry. I knew that I had a talent in investing in finances and I knew that I could fix that. So how I found my one thing was thinking, who am I? What can I provide? And what can I fix in the world? What solution can I be? Right. And if you're a person that doesn't feel like you have anything to provide to the world just yet, that's okay. That's fine. But guess what? Develop a skill. That's why they say that developing a skill is so valuable because when you develop a skill truly and get good at it, not only can you profit from that skill, but you can help the world learn that as well, right? From one skill, I can already tell you you can make 5 different businesses, all six-figure businesses from just one skill.
Like how you framed it. So I've heard about skill stacking, that the more skills you have, the more value you have in the world and you attract more value to you. But I've never had that insight. They always say that from one skill, then you can actually start several businesses. That's a great insight. Tell me more about that. For example, the skill that you have and how you created several businesses around that. That's a cool insight.
Well, there's two major skills, and it's very important to be clear with yourself what exactly you have.
Yeah.
Uh, One thing, especially what you are and what you provide, you have to be able to describe it in a few words, right? So I boiled myself down to two simple things, two valuable skills that I have, and that's investing and trading, right? So, not just day trading, but making a full-time six-figure income just from my investments, as well as speaking. Speaking, by the way, that's probably the best talent to develop by far. Actually, it definitely is because speaking is sales, speaking is connecting, speaking is networking, speaking is everything, right? And I'm not sure if you've heard, but 90% of people, I think it is, are more terrified of public speaking than they are of dying,
Yeah,
right? That's a
yeah.
crazy statistic, but that
Yes.
means that just by being a talented speaker, you're in the top 10% of the world just by that one skill, right? So
Right.
let me put it this way. From those two skills, trading and speaking, right? I mastered my trading to be its own business to already make me more than enough money that I need to live, right? So my investments already can cover that. That's one business. Teaching people
Good.
how to invest, that's another one, right? Speaking about investing, now that's another one as well. Writing books
Yeah.
about investing, there you go. That's another one. Having myself be over here on big stages, talking to other people, that's another huge business. And then the rest of it comes easy. Once you got strong streams of income, buy real estate properties. Bam, done and done. Start an Airbnb business. That takes not very much time out of your day if you do it properly, and that's just an
Yeah.
extra 1,000 a month, right? So it's a question. There's two forms of income, and I'll boil it down to horizontal and vertical, right? So
Uh-huh.
horizontal income is, let's say you're building this way, right? So maybe in your case, you do speaking, but then
Yeah.
you want to open a grocery store. Those two things don't really work with each other, right? And maybe
Yeah.
then you also want to start, I don't know, make a bakery or whatever, right? Those things don't work together that well, right?
Yeah.
Maybe then you want to, who knows, maybe buy a hotel or property. There's no synergy there, right? There's no connection. Vertical income, right, is when everything is working together, right? So
Mm,
from the same skill, you're branching out to do multiple things. So if you're
mm,
buying properties, for example, okay, let me buy a house here. Then I want to start an Airbnb business, right? Then I want to put some houses up for rent. Now I want to buy commercial properties. Now I want to do this and that. Now you're in the same domain and you're covering
yeah.
multiple, right?
Yeah.
In my
Yeah.
case, like I just described, I do trading, I teach trading, I write about trading, I speak about trading, I invest my money in whatever it is. I'm stacking everything on the same skill. So that way it doesn't feel like I'm actually in 70 different places at once. I'm always in the same place, mastering the same industry.
And I would imagine, not even imagine, I believe then it's much, much easier. It's you stay in your zone, it's not a struggle, you're flawless. Of all the things you are talking about, I'm like, you're even podcasting about trading and investing and business, so well, for that matter. So I like that. And because also now a person like me, so this is a great insight, because now for me, one of the things I've been thinking about is, yeah, speaking, consulting in this developing world where I am. I'm in Uganda, in case for some of you don't know. Then I was like, maybe I should branch out to big ticket items like real estate and the like. So that's the zone I've been in. And now listening to you, I'm like, it could be that before I branch out, then I better maximize or figure out how to do this on a massive scale before I start learning things from scratch. So if someone like, and I would imagine there are people like me, you're thinking that the market is small, or you're thinking the geography is small, or the market is small, or I can't make it big here enough, where you're gifted at, or where you have enough expertise like I am. So what should be the thinking or the strategies or ways of being that can make a person like me or other people who are related, who feel like, oh, this, I cannot create enough money in this, or I can't generate enough cash flow in this, and then to jump totally into a different space? What would you say to a person like that?
Well, that's a common struggle that most people have in the entrepreneurial world, because the truth is there's a lot more losses than there is wins. But when you're an entrepreneur, you only need one win to make it, right? You only need just one victory and then you're done, right? Then you just keep exploding, right? That first one is a hard part. So there's a market for everything. There is, right? What you need to understand is whether it's a big market or a small market, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't dominate it, right? And what does domination of a market look like? It means that you have to have a dimension that no one else has. You have to have a point of sale, a point of interest that no one else has, right? So in my industry, for example, and this is part of the importance of staying in your industry and becoming a monster in that industry, because that's how you build a name. And that's how you take everything from everyone in that industry, right? What you need to do, what I did, for example, my industry, I identified the big problem. This stuff is overpriced. Everyone in the financial industry, an important industry, finances, but it's a terrible one because either people are overcharging and gatekeeping information, or they're straight up scamming, right? So no one has a safe place to go, right? Everyone is always crossing their fingers and going from this guy to that guy. None of them really help them with anything, right? So I knew I got to do two things. I have to be the cheapest, most affordable in my industry, especially when I was younger, because I need to build trust, right?
Yeah.
And I need to give people their first time with me, their first month with me for free, right? So I would give them a free month to build
Wow.
trust, to show them that they're safe, to show them results first. And then, even then, I was still the cheapest in my whole industry because I
Wow.
knew that the prices didn't have to be that expensive, right? So there's a lot of people that are starting to follow this business model with the world of trading, right? Which is good. That's what I wanted. I wanted to kill the industry, right? Because one person, that was me, one person broke that, broke the standards, broke the gates that was being kept, right? And
You, dis-
now everything's changing.
you disrupted the industry, for lack of a better
Exactly.
word.
Disruptive.
Yeah.
Be a presence. Like your dad told you, you have to be loud, speak, make yourself seen every single time that you're anywhere, right? Because your reputation is probably the most important thing that you have in this entrepreneurial world. People that, before you know it, people start talking about you left and right. And you will have this aura that speaks for you before you even open your mouth.
Yeah. And talking about speaking, because there's a moment when you are talking about it's the most important skill, public speaking. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, I train people in the art of public speaking, because it's a priceless skill. I mean, you cannot put a price tag to it. And even Warren Buffett talks about that. So I'm glad that I have a kindred spirit who believes in that, why public speaking and presentation. But I love that part of dominate, because that's a big word, and it's something that entrepreneurs, or if someone is into the space of creating value, we rarely talk about that. And I don't remember someone telling me that, like what you're saying, you have to dominate. it was about, okay, let me start my thing. I'm just passionate. I'm just starting. And that's a good start. And I'm also thinking to myself, if I had that mindset of domination rather than just taking action, meaning you're taking action mixed with domination, then I would be much further than even where I am now. So what is that kind of day-to-day ways of thinking and being that one is to be a dominant force of nature in the world? And talking about domination, I liked you use the word mission. I was reading your profile that you're in a mission, and that caught my attention because it took me back about Bill Gates saying that he wants to have a computer in every home. Then,
Right.
so and that seems to be the story around people who are dominant. Seems to be that I'm answering my question. At least that one thing. I didn't want to forget that. I underlined that when I read your profile. So the mission. So it would be good to hear more about your mission, but also what does it take to dominate one's market or one's mission, wherever they are?
That is a perfectly formulated question because those two things actually go hand in hand. As a matter of fact, it's funny because everything we're talking about connects back to itself. Focus and mission and domination are really the same thing, right? Because when you will automatically focus when you focus on purpose, right? When you fixate on just having a firm purpose, you're not even worrying about the money, you will naturally begin to dominate an industry because you know what you want to get done, right? So here's the difference between a good entrepreneur and a great entrepreneur, right? A good entrepreneur does what he does for money. A good entrepreneur thinks, okay, this product can make me maybe $10,000 a month. Okay, I do this and that and I'm free. Okay, you're done. Okay, great, great. You're an entrepreneur, sure. But a great entrepreneur doesn't care about money at all, at all. Money is a byproduct of purpose. A great entrepreneur fixates only on purpose because they know that the money will come after, the money comes later. And when you focus on having a big mission like that, right, you're going to leave a bigger mark on the industry. You're going to naturally draw more attention to you, which of course, as a byproduct, becomes more sales, more everything, right? But you are a presence that is undeniable at that point, right? Because you change something. So, for example, in my case, my mission was to give this financial information back to the people. This is information that was stolen from them, quite literally. People deliberately hide this information. They love to charge thousands of dollars for it. And this is stuff that people need and they're not getting access to, right? So, my mission was to break that gate and to give that back to them, right? There was a long
Wow.
time where I was barely making any money on my business, right? Because the mission was not focused on money. But all of a sudden, when I kept working on my mission and I kept taking actions to fulfill that, my business completely blew up. And almost overnight, I saw this dam break down. And I saw so much clientele coming in. I saw so much of everything come in because I focused so much on purpose that it hit a breaking point and it caused this flood of success and prosperity back into my life. That is what purpose does for someone.
Wow. And I really, really love that, Sebastian, because if we are to take the spiritual angle, that those who are faithful with a little more shall be given unto them. So in a way, I feel like if I was God, where do I send people? Because I would also imagine there are many people out there crying out. They're like, I wish I could access this information that is within my budget, and they are out crying for it. And by law of attraction and connection or inspiration, whatever it is, brings the two together. But also when you say mission, when I'm teaching people about public speaking, I tell them when you choose to focus on the people rather than your own thoughts and your own worries, like when I'm teaching about overcoming nerves, one of the techniques is you focus on the people out there. But also now that you're focusing on people out there, more energy is liberated. So I just also feel by you choosing to say because you said to open the gates out there to serve a multitude of people, then I imagine also now that the gates are open, now since we reap what we sow, what I'm picking from that, if I'm sowing wide gates of abundance, then automatically then also those wide gates of opportunities and abundance come to me. For what I wish for multitudes, the multitudes will wish for me. That's what I'm picking from what you're saying. That instance.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. It's a question of the following, right? Uh, whether you're speaking or whether you're an entrepreneur, really you're a server to the world, to either your clientele, to your audience, or whatever it is, right? And of course, the best way to serve is by seeing what's inside you, what you can offer to them, and we're using that to your advantage. But ultimately, the only question you need to be asking yourself if you're looking to become an entrepreneur or looking to start walking in that way, the only question you need to ask yourself is, what can I do for people that isn't already being done? Right? What is a
Mm,
problem that I can fix? What is an answer? What is a question that I can solve? Right? And by focusing on that, you automatically find purpose, which means you automatically find focus and dominance. So it's a
mm,
question of that. That's a first step.
I like that. And talking about purpose and dominance, so because I also believe that by us having that financial abundance and wealth, which I discovered later in my 40s. By the way, what's your age now? That's the other thing that caught my attention. And if you don't want to share, that's also okay.
No, no, I do want to share. I think it'd be funny. You know what? Guess. Let's see. Let's see how close you get.
Okay, my producer told me that you are either in your early 20s or something, and I was like,
Yeah, I'm 22 years old.
I'm giving you a round of applause of one because I don't know whether it is a shift in consciousness and humanity. I keep getting attracted to 20-year-olds. There seems to be a depth of wisdom and acceleration of impact and wealth creation than before in the younger generation. So what used to take people decades, people seem to be. So I don't know whether that's something you've noticed. At least anyway, for me, I'm older now. That's what, because I'm 47 years old. So I find it fascinating reaching out or listening to younger people in their 20s. They seem to have something. There's something that generation that is special. I don't know what it is, but it just came to me of recent. Now I follow 20-some-year-olds. Okay, back to my question. So you should be so proud of yourself, man, that you're 22 years old, you're thinking like that, and you're impacting millions of lives. Well, kudos to you, man. The question I was going back to, at least from my own perspective, that for us to have an even bigger impact on the world, to dominate the world, so to dominate our industry and spaces, so to speak, mastering our monies or mastering the game of money and learning how to create wealth, then it gives us more options to dominate whichever purpose God has impressed upon our hearts. So, in your view, what are those things that you've noticed, because you've interacted with so many people, coached so many people? What have you noticed are the biggest struggles around mastering money and wealth? And what is your core advice around people who are still lost in the maze, who haven't yet mastered it?
Okay, that's a great question as well. The first and foremost biggest problem that I always see with everyone that I work with and try to help, uh, they want money because they feel like they lack it, right? They are looking for a quick out of their financial struggles, right? When in reality, everything with finances is a question of building, right? It's not trying to dig yourself out of a hole. It's trying to build a house on top of your foundation, right? So what I mean by that, yeah, what I mean by that is
Like that.
this is how they get you, by the way, in this industry. The financial industry, where do they get you? They sell you, I'm gonna make you a millionaire overnight. That's what they tell you. You know what I'm saying? And because they're gonna make you a millionaire overnight, then they can justify selling you a $5,000 course. So no, that is the big problem that I see with people is they want an easy solution. So I'm very transparent with everyone that I help, and I tell them straight up, look, what I'm going to be teaching you, I got people making an extra couple hundred a month. I got people making an extra couple thousand a month. That's great, but don't expect you're going to start today and then make 100,000 by tomorrow. No, you can start profiting as early as your first 2 weeks. I've seen people start profiting that early. I've seen people start having an impact on their finances pretty quickly, but it's not an overnight thing, and it's not like 100,000 or anything like that, right? It starts steady. But here's the beauty of finances, and this is where people get it wrong. People want uh the big bucks right away, so much so that they don't even start anything if they see like it's nothing crazy at first, right? So compound interest, what does that look like? It takes 10 successful investments starting at just $500. It takes 10 successful investments making 50% profit to turn $500 to $28,000, right?
Wow.
That is compound interest. That's what happens when you reinvest what you get, right? So at first, everyone that wants just big bucks, and if they don't see that, then they're out. Guess what? They're missing out on that in the future, right? If you keep focusing on the big stuff right away, you're never going to get there because nothing works like that. Everything is steps, and you're not going to get to this level by just jumping from the floor to there. You got to work your way through and up, right? So I tell people, let's get you started with whatever you're gonna do. If you want to do 500, cool. If you want to do 1,000, that's cool. Whatever you want to do, right? All right, they get started. Maybe in a month they made $200, $400, whatever. Still good, right? Uh, and if they continue having discipline and they continue having that faith and that vision and in their investments, maybe then by month number 4, they're seeing an extra couple thousand coming in, right? And by the end of the year, they made an extra $20,000 that they would not have made without that, right? But it's vision. The financial world lacks a client base that has a vision to understand that it's got to be a steady game. Anything that's over here promising you to 10x your investment right off the bat, it's not real, right? You got to look for the best, but most realistic numbers.
Interesting. So that's now the making of the money. Then how do I convert that money into wealth?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. Yes, because wealth and money are completely different. Yes, I'm glad that you asked that question. You can have the
Mm.
money, you can have turned your 500 to 50,000 in your investment account by making the right moves. That's cool. You're still not wealthy. You got money, you got a dollar amount, right? You have a number, and that's it. How do you make wealth? What is wealth? Wealth is building something substantial that will protect you for life. So that even if you're not working, even if you lose your job like my parents, you never, ever, ever have to worry about anything, right? That is true freedom and independence, being able to travel wherever you want and not have to worry about coming back to work the next 5 years just to pay for the next vacation. That sucks. And we all live that way at first, right? What is wealth?
Right.
Well, you turn 500 to 30,000, let's say, which is super doable with the right strategies. Let's say you got that far. Well, what does your next move need to be like? What else can I build? Yes, I have a skill now. That's good. I have a talent, but where can I put my money to have an endless stream of wealth? Real estate, 90% of millionaires come from real estate. Can't go wrong with that. Buy a property, put up for Airbnb, save up until you have a good down payment on a great tourist area or beach or by Disney World, like how we got right here in Orlando, whatever it is, right? Real estate, never bad. Start your own business, also never bad. Franchising, can't go wrong with that. Think about the big things the big bucks in the millionaire world do, right? So the financial game, once you have the money, you know what you have to do. It's pretty easy, right? You know what they tell you: start a business, buy a property, uh, franchise, whatever. That's super easy to do once you have the money. The hard part is stepping up to that level because most of us, let's be honest, the most people that I work with, they start off with, "Hey, I got maybe $5,000 to my name right now. I can't buy a property. I can't go out here and buy a McDonald's or whatever. I can't do that right now, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get there? You have to leverage your money for wealth. So start small, you do your short-term investments like what I'm talking about here. Build up your 500 to 1,000, then 2, then 4,000, get that up to 20, 30, and now we can start talking about making those big moves that we know are the right ones.
Wow, I like that. But one of the biggest insights you gave me was around being a builder.
Hmm.
And the challenge, of course, is the marketers who are out there. It's about training our brains to become consumers rather than builders.
Exactly.
But also, when I was listening to you, I'm thinking, what if I'm in the process of building? and I do not have enough cash on me and I have these basic needs and all that stuff. How, and they may not be basic needs, but some wants. How do you keep the discipline to know, you know what, this is not an immediate need. How do I keep the discipline to stay focused on the big picture of building this wealth creation machine?
That's a good question because we oftentimes struggle with that. I mean, we want to be consumers. We're trained to be consumers because it fuels our system, but it drains us. By being a consumer, you are a battery just being drained by a system, right? Whereas by having something for others to consume, you build your own system. That's what you want to do. So you don't want to be a content consumer, you want to be a content creator of any kind, right? Whether it's an entrepreneur, a salesman, whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
Now, the real most important thing to mastering that discipline is understanding what even $100 can do. When you understand what all of your money really is, you're not going to waste it. With everything that I got, I literally can't even buy clothes without feeling like it hurts. Like it physically hurts me to buy stuff because I know, man, if I'm gonna go shopping, that's $500. Man, that's $500 that I could have invested and maybe seen turn into 10,000 with the right moves, right? So to me, this stuff isn't costing me $500. It's costing me 10,000. It's costing me 20,000, 30,000 that I could have made, I could have become with that. So if it's not an absolute need or an experience like traveling, things like that are always worth it, right? But if it's just a thing that's making me a consumer of something, I always think to myself, what could this money do? Right? If I just save this a couple times, can I buy a house with this? Can I get far with this? Can I at least invest this into a trading account to see it grow? Right? So realize that money is potential at all levels, and that if you're buying dumb stuff, you're wasting potential. You're literally just wasting potential.
I'm having a huge smile on my face. I'm like, damn, that's an amazing insight because I never had it put it that way. So for me, I feel I'm like, yeah, the purpose behind this podcast is being real, at least for me, because now you're saying, okay, well, you don't look at money for what it is now, you're looking at money for what it could be. And I'm like,
Exactly.
yes. And now
Exactly.
for you, though, you already have the expertise and the experience because you've seen it happen. So how can one develop that awareness when they have not experienced what being on top of the mountain is like?
The biggest thing is networking. Meet people that have done it, see them do it, right? Because where is it? Right here. Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? What do we know about the world, right? We know the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Why? Is it because there's something secret that the rich are doing that we're not? No, it's actually more simple than that. It's because of our environments, right? When you grow up
Mm,
poor, you only see poor people. To you, that's
yeah,
all that's possible. What you see literally becomes your limit. That's your roof, right? Now, when you're born
yeah,
into a rich or good community, what you see is everyone around you doing it. They're doing it. They're doing it. One of my newest and closest friends is a multimillionaire who grew up
yeah.
in a life of crime, but even from a young age, in a life of crime. Yeah, he grew up as a criminal, but
Ah,
today's a
wow,
multimillionaire. Yeah,
wow,
but even then, he always had a lot of money, right? Even when he was four, he was I believe he made $1 million before the age of 18, actually, right?
wow.
Um, yeah, I think even earlier than that, he was owning multiple nightclubs. He was moving in money, right? How is that possible for someone that's growing up super poor in a life of crime? Well, he told me one thing, and this is how I knew it. He
Yeah,
always saw his dad working with money. He always saw his dad making big money moves and all this stuff, right? And that opened a door psychologically to him, right? It's a psychological door that shows you this can be done, right? So I'm going to move
yeah.
this way, right? Even in his circumstances. Do you know about the 4 minute mile?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
saying that right. Right.
Yeah,
So, for those who don't know, the 4 minute mile was something that was previously thought to be impossible. For all of human history in this competitive sport, it was thought to be impossible. Then one person does it, and next thing you know, everyone's doing this a 4 minute mile now, right? Why? Because the moment that people see that something is possible, a roof gets broken and a door gets open. And that's a big deal. So if you've never seen your money have that potential, it's because you've never seen anyone really do that stuff, right? And that's why it's important to surround yourself with people that are doing big things and living that life that you want. It's a psychological switch. Just being in the presence of people who are not even millionaires, but they could be just entrepreneurs, shows you, hey, this is real. This is success. I can see that. Get in the habit of seeing success. When all you ever see is failure and poverty, you begin to look for that in your own mind. You begin to look for that in your own actions, and it becomes your standard and your expectation for yourself, right? But when you see
Right.
someone else having success, subconsciously that becomes an expectation for yourself as well. So surround yourself with that positivity.
Wow, I like that. And for me, and I know you're definitely spot on because apparently even in our brains, we have something called the mirror neurons, in that what we see, then we want to mirror that, we want to adopt that. But one of the challenges I see, at least even in my own life, is you see someone, let's say, is earning more than 10x, then I'm like, how do I get to that person? How do we network with these people who are presumably out of our league? What is that switch, the mindset or techniques or strategies to connect with these people who are way ahead of us?
Well, the best thing to do, so because I had that problem too. You always hear about networking, but you always feel like, how? These people don't want to talk to me. Even if I could talk to them, what connection do we even have, right? You don't really have any.
Yeah.
So even where I'm at right now in my life, I recently had that experience again, right? I went to a networking event. You want to go to networking events, that's definitely a big thing. But I went to this networking event and it was good. I met my friend who is a multimillionaire there, and he's a great guy, and I learned some great things from him. But it was because we came from a similar background, we came from a similar place, and we had a connection, right? I wasn't focused on talking with him for the money. I wasn't trying to sell anything when I spoke to him. I wasn't trying to get anywhere. I was just talking to him as a person and building a connection. And this is what people love. Ask ask them, what got you this far? What was your biggest lesson? Ask people those questions because they love to teach. And when they see that you're a student, they're going to take you under their wing, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
here's another thing. I also recently went to a networking event in Washington, D.C., in the House of Representatives with some big
Mm.
politicians.
Yeah.
That was interesting because everyone there, I mean, I walked in, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Everyone here has over 100 million in the bank or at least a billion. These people are huge, right? They're funding
Yeah.
these politicians. And I realized at that point, I'm like, wow, you know what? I am way out of my league here, right? And that's
Yeah.
okay. You're not supposed to always like I'm not at that level, and that's fine, right? I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I am. As a matter of fact, one of the best things that you can do in networking is understand network in your not in your level, but in your league. You want something above your level, of course, but you want it to be within range. So, you know, let's say you're here, you want to find someone that is where you're at, but further ahead, that knows more and is better. Then that
Yeah.
brings you here, and then you look for the next one. You keep ascending that way. But if you just, you pay for an event to go to Tony Robbins and you try to talk to the big man, it's not gonna happen, right? You're here and this guy's out of the screen. You know what I'm saying? It's not even there. So
Yeah.
be realistic. Find the right places to go. Build genuine connections. Ask genuine questions, and be a student. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. And what I'm also hearing in that is being intentional. If I was to boil it one word, being intentional, and then over time these things come. But having said that, in today's day and age, also, I believe social media, YouTube, podcasts like this. I believe now in this day and age, there are so many opportunities. But there's one question that popped up in my head when I was listening that I've been wanting to ask you. You talked about that building, you build that wealth creation machine. But I also believe in that principle that, just thinking that build and they will come is not enough. You have to build it, but also shout about it, talk about it. So what have you found in your personal experience to be effective ways to talk about what you built? And I'm talking about sales and marketing here and branding and this sort of thing. What if someone was just starting out or midway or they're already above, so in different ranges, What have you found to be the most effective strategies in your experience?
For beginning to build. That's what you're
No,
asking
no,
about?
no, I'm saying you've already built your thing. You have this quality, high quality thing you're building, but it's a business, for example. But it's not enough to have a great business. You also need some great marketing and sales and branding around it.
Oh, I see.
In your experience, how do we attract more clients, more customers, and have a sustainable, ever-growing entity?
Oh, that's another really good question. So once you're already winning, you've already seen some success. That's how I started too. Uh, with my business, I had a team at one point of 40 people, of 40
Wow.
employees that were doing sales for me, right? And they were just
How old
talking
were you
one.
then? How old were you then, just as a tidbit, to have 40
What was that?
employees? How old were you then when you had 40 employees?
21, 21.
20. Wow. Wow. Good.
So I had that team and they were doing sales or talking to people one by one by one by one, trying to get clients here and here or there, right? And I realized like, man, I was doing good. I'm doing good. I'm managing this whole team of 40 people, but you know what? It's taking too much of my time and it's exhausting, right?
Yeah.
So you always want to think the only direction you should be moving in your business is backwards. You should only be taking a step back. Here's what I mean by that. You want to get someone to do your job for you every step of the way. So I went from being someone that was the business owner, the CEO, I ran everything to getting someone to do my social media stuff, to getting someone else to do my sales, and then get someone to manage that team of sales, right? So that began to change everything. I started just getting other people to do it for me. And at first, that was a big step back. And I took a big hit as to my recurring clientele, right? But guess what? That gave me the position where I'm now back here. I can see everything clearly. I have time on my hands and I can organize things better to start seeing more success. For the first time in my life, I realized I didn't care about how much clients I was earning if it was taking up that much of my time. Because then I'm still self-employed. It's still a job. I'm not really a business owner. I'm just self-employed, right? So being a
Yeah.
business owner means you have a system that works for you. And
Yeah.
as for your second question, how do you get more customers or clientele? You want to get sales out of your head. Forget about sales. Forget about it. Sales means that you're talking to someone, trying to get them to buy your product. You're trying to change their mind to want you. And what do we know? People work just like rivers, right? They're flowing in one direction. And yeah, maybe you can redirect it. If they already want your product, maybe you can make them want it enough to buy it, right? But you're not going to get a river to switch directions. So the key to sales is to not sell at all. You can't make someone want something that they don't already want, right? That's the difference between sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing is about positioning yourself for people to come to you. That's what you want to do, right? When I had that team
Yeah.
of 40 people, we were doing okay because, yeah, that's a lot of people that were working one by one, chasing people down, trying to get sales, but that's
Yeah.
exhausting, right? The big
Absolutely.
decision that I took that made my growth exponential and made me blow up was, hey, you know what? Half of you guys, I don't need you anymore. We're good. And I instead got the rest of my team to position me for people to come to me by arranging public speaking, by opening our own events, our own workshops, our own ads, our own whatever it was going to be. But we stopped selling and we started marketing. That's what real marketing is.
Oh, that's a huge insight. In that you become, what I'm hearing from that, what has come to me is that you focus on being an attractor rather than a chaser.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, cool. And for me, this is divine wisdom, because today I was actually thinking in those lines, like, we need to do this, how about start doing events and stuff, and then would have potential clients come. So for me, this is confirmation. I really like that.
I'm happy to
That's
hear that.
brilliant.
I'm
But
happy to hear
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I really mean that. That's
Well,
brilliant.
you always have to keep in mind everything in nature follows the same rules, right? When you chase, what do things do?
They run
Right?
away.
They run away from you, right? So there's a quote from one of my favorite philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, who says, if you spend your life chasing butterflies, you're never going to catch them. They're going to always fly away. But if you build a garden, what's going to happen? They're going to flow to you naturally, right?
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So, in other words, we should focus on building gardens.
Exactly right. Focus on becoming and having something that people want. Let me put it this way. If you have a business and you're not succeeding, it's not because the world doesn't see your vision yet, or it's not because of this or that. It's because you have to change something. If you were going to succeed with what you got, you would have already succeeded. So it's your fault. And I don't mean that as an insult. Actually, I'm saying stop crossing your fingers and saying, no, it's the world's fault. No one sees my vision. No one sees that. No, make them see your vision. And if they still don't see it, it's because you don't have the product necessary just yet for that to happen. And that's a great revelation to have because then you understand, okay, I got to work on the product. So my business philosophy has always been this. There's only two things that I ever work on in my business. Either
Yeah.
improving the product or improve how well I can get other people to see my vision. Those are the two things that
Mhm.
matter. When you have a good product, people will naturally flow to it, right? But at the same time, you have to make sure that people know about it, right? So whenever I'm just getting a lot of clientele, I'm thinking, okay, that's cool. I'm getting a lot of clientele. I'm really busy. You know what? It's time to improve my product. Maybe then I could be maybe even increase the prices. Maybe even I can do whatever I want. But let me improve the product. Let me be even something better for everyone. Maybe then all these people that I already have are going to start talking about it and bringing me even more people. Cool. Now the
Yes.
now the product is perfect. It's great. The product is exactly what I want it to be. Cool. Let me focus back on sharing my vision with others, right? So those are the only two domains that matter in the world of business.
Interesting. And how about the team also? The team that is behind the product and the visioning, putting the visioning out there. What are you doing with your team to help you with those two core pillars?
I'll tell you one thing. Do you know how, take a guess as to how much time it takes for me to manage all of my employees? Take a guess. In a day, take a guess.
4 to 6 hours?
Less than 10 minutes, right? Here's why. Here's why. Leadership, I'm a big believer in true leadership, right? If you're arduously managing every single person, if you're doing what's called micromanaging, you're not doing your job as a CEO, right? First off, you want to hire someone to manage your team for you. That's important, right? But you still
Yeah.
want to be in touch with everyone, right? You still want them to
Yes.
know of you and hear of you, right? Uh, how do you get so much work done without giving a lot of time into something? It's very simple. Purpose, your mission. Again, everything we've talked about today connects back to us, which I love, right? But you have
Yes.
such a strong mission and it's such a clear statement for that everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing already. So I sit with my team once a week for maybe 30 minutes. Um, and I say to them, wait, listen, this is what the business is. This is the dream. This is what we're doing. All the people that you've helped sell my product to, this is where they're at today. They're all making so much money. They're all doing so great, right? We're changing the industry. We're doing all these different things. And guess what that does? They know what they need to be doing. That vision, your purpose, guides everything else. And that's one of my favorite books, actually. I don't have it right now because I gifted it away. Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, one of the best books I've ever read.
Yeah.
It's about leadership, and that's one of the biggest things. Yeah, you can spend hours upon hours explaining to people what they need to be doing, what their jobs are, what all this stuff is, right? But if they know the purpose, if they know what needs to get done, you don't have to do that. Once they understand the assignment, they're gonna get it done. So I I'm gonna go ahead and do it right now. This is what it looks like for me to manage that team of all these people that I have working for me today. I'm sending out a text right now to the manager. How are they doing right now? There you go. He's going to update me and tell me everyone's doing great. Everyone's sending out their stuff. We've talked to this many people today. We're scheduling you for this many appointments today. We're doing all that, right? They know the purpose. Purpose breeds everything else.
And I imagine you weren't always like this while starting. What created the shift for you?
It wasn't always like that. So I'm very human when it comes to my discipline. My biggest shift was when I got lazy. That was it. That was really it. That was my biggest shift. Because I was, and this always happens to me. This always happens to me. I started doing really, really good, and then I realized, like, you know what? as an entrepreneur, what the reason why you do everything is for your time, not for your money, right? Everyone
Yes.
else in the world, everyone in the 9 to 5 world, they're trading their time for money. We're doing the opposite. We're trading money for time, right? So I realized like, man, I'm doing all this work. I'm working so hard and I'm getting maybe 15 to 20 new clients a month, busting my ass for this, you know? And I got to the point where I'm like, man, this is cool, but I'm sick of it. I'm lazy now. I don't want to do any of this right now. So I fell into a slump where I'm like, I just taking too much effort. How can I reposition things to not do that? Right. So I took a step back and I decided, you know what? You guys need to fly solo. This cannot take that much time out of my day because I'm supposed to be doing other stuff. As a business owner, you're in charge of delegation and of building the product. You're in charge of building everything. You can't be sucked in to just the marketing side of things, right?
Yeah.
Or just that. So I took probably my biggest and most important leadership decision, and that was telling people, you know what? I'm gonna pay you guys more, but you're gonna do more, right? You're gonna manage this team for me, right? I told one of my guys, you're gonna manage this team for me. You're gonna keep them in touch. These are your responsibilities for the day. You know what the vision is. You know what we got to get done with the business. The success of the marketing side of things is now completely on your shoulders. I'm glad you're willing to take that responsibility. It's yours. Make it work or don't. You know that regardless, I need this business to work. So whether it's with you or without you, it's gonna get done, right? Bam. They know the purpose, they know the assignment, they know what they need to do, and they know, more importantly than anything else, that they have to align with your vision, right? That got taken care of it for me. And at first, guess what I saw? Not a lot of good stuff, right?
Okay.
Why? Because you took a step back. I knew that was
Yeah.
going to happen. I knew that my sales were probably going to suffer a little bit, but just like everything else in the entrepreneurial world, at first you don't see the money, but you're building something, right? And
Yes.
over
Yes.
time, now I built a team. Even though at first I
Mhm.
didn't see any sales, vision, delayed gratification, have that vision, right? Even though at first I was seeing actually a big loss in my sales because I knew that this is going to build something bigger than me. Next thing I know, they're making more than triple, quadruple what I used to do, busting my butt, right?
Wow.
And
Wow.
that is what leadership is.
Wow. I like that. So I appreciate that, man. And before we conclude, it would be good to know for you what is that thing that you wish the world would know around wealth, personal finance, and wealth creation that we haven't covered yet?
You stop thinking additively, right? Additively. What does that mean? When you are working a
Stop
nine to
thinking
five,
what? I didn't hear that word. Stop thinking what?
addition, additively. Stop thinking addition, right?
Ah,
When you work a 9 to 5, you're just adding finances. You're just adding money to your account, and then you're subtracting it when you have your bills, right? So you're not really getting anywhere. It's like you're taking 5 steps forward and 5 steps back every day. You know, you're
yeah.
doing nothing.
Yeah.
And the saddest part is you're working so hard and you're not really getting anything done, right? That's the tragedy of it all. You're working so hard just to sustain the same things that you got going on, right? It's a tragedy.
Yeah.
What I want people to start thinking is multiplication, multiplicatively, right? Multiply your money. Stop trading your time for money. Start using your money to work for itself, right? That's what it's supposed to do. View money as a thing of potential. Stop viewing your money as paying bills or paying this or that. No, 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 no. Your money has a potential to grow so much with the right steps.
And what steps does one need to go through? I know we've hinted on some of these, but if you were to meet someone right now, what are those step by step principles that you feel one must go through to make it happen?
So we know about the big steps, and this is the funniest thing. We know about the big steps in the financial world, right? We know we're supposed to buy properties, we're supposed to do this or that, but no one teaches us the small steps to actually get there. So what we end up doing is working so hard to basically jump from here all the way to here instead of just walking, bam, 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 bam. Build your way up, build. That's everything. Just be a builder, right? So
Wow.
the first and most accessible steps for everyone, it's pretty simple actually. Long-term and short-term investing in the stock market. You don't want to mess around with anything too short-term like day trading, forex. Not that it's bad, you can profit from that, but it's not as consistent as the stock market. The stock market was designed for the average working man and woman to be able to beat inflation, That's literally the purpose that it had when it was made in the 20s, right? So long-term and short-term investing. Long-term, it's just a way to put your money somewhere better than your savings account. That's it. But short-term investing helps you leverage your cash a lot, right? And when you do it properly, it's very explosive. So that would probably be the first step. Learn how to do that properly. Learn how to do short-term. Start building your finances, and what that looks like is pretty cool. You start with maybe anywhere between 300 to 1,000 usually, right? That's a usual starting amount, at least here in the US. And you're making steady, short trades in the market, usually lasting between 1 to 5 days. And you're
Okay.
making usually every step of the way, you're looking at 40% profit, usually at a minimum, usually closer to 50, 60% profit, right? On the small trades,
In what period of time?
huh? 1 to 5
But
days,
in how many days?
between 1 and 5. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 days, sometimes it's 5, whatever.
Because most companies, when they are reporting, they tell you about 15%, 25% growth, and those people clap, and you're telling me 40 to 6% is possible within a week.
Oh yeah, more than possible. It happens. It's almost every single trade that I make is like that. Some of them are 30% profit, some of them are 80%, some of them it varies a little bit. But yeah, and the reason why is because when companies announce that they made 15% that year, that's the whole company. For an entire company to grow that amount, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? That's cool for long
Yes.
term. Short
Yeah.
term is actively managed, right? So you're more active on what you're doing there, and that's what allows you to take more profit, right? So what it boils down to is so here's what we look at, for example. One of my not newest, but youngest students actually. He recently hit his first $10,000 of profit in what I do. And he only started with 1,000, right? It took him
Wow.
6 months. It took him 6 months, right? But to some people, 6 months sounds like a long time, but I'll tell you guys something real quick. That's a realistic number, right? 6 months is actually it's pretty short for 10x, right?
It is. It
It
is.
is, right? And that's where the industry gets you, is they make you think that like, oh, 6 months is a long time. No, it's not. That's good. Don't underestimate. Yeah, don't underestimate that.
That's
What
ex-
what was that?
I mean, I'm saying that's exceptional. I mean, if one did 10x, even if it's even in 5 years, that's still incredible compared to what an average business or trades, or not even trades, but a typical financial return on investment. I mean, even in 5 years, that's like doubling. I'm like, that's incredible. Wow.
Right. And that's where so many of us lose, is because we're always expecting, oh, 10x 5 years or whatever. We're expecting 10x in that amount of time. So you're working for 5 years to 10x what I don't even know how old this guy is, maybe 19, did in 6 months, right? So that's why that's so cool, is because, oh, did you really think that you were going to get to the level of all these millionaires and billionaires by just working? It's not going to happen. They don't work additively like we talked about. They're multiplying. They're seeing what are the smartest and best ways that I can use my money right now. And that's
Wow.
one of those tools, that short-term trading, that a lot of people don't know that they have access to that, and they do. It's not expensive. It's not hard. The hardest part is finding the right place to learn. And that's what I try to do with my business, was be that place for everyone, even in the face of a pretty difficult industry.
Wow. So is it correct to assume that that's what you're doing at Stocks Uni?
Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly what stocks to me is.
And so walk me through, me as someone interested. What is it that you do exactly for people? And I've had the returns. It piqued my interest. And just so you know, because someone could be watching this and is thinking, oh, maybe this is a stage manager question. No, I swear to you, I decided to let this flow naturally. And I liked when we were studying, I'm like, no, let's just have a conversation. But I will tell you, 30 to 50%, even 60 in a week, that's incredible. So tell me, I've joined. So what do we need? What's the minimum capital one needs to start? What's the membership like? What do you meet weekly? Do you meet daily? And the other question that caught my attention was, you said it has to be managed actively. So is that Does that mean I have to be on the computer watching the stocks for a full hour, full day? How does, yeah, just walk me through
Good
this.
question. Good questions. So let's get through the misconceptions first, because you're right. A lot of methods of trading do require that you're on the computer basically all day. That sucks.
Yeah,
We don't have time for that. I mean, it's supposed to be investing. Investing means that you're putting your money to work for you. And if you're glued
yeah.
to your charts, you're not doing it. So no, when I say actively manage, it just means that you're the one pulling the triggers, right? That's it. It does not mean that it's going to take all day. As a matter of fact, even for me, I run an entire group of investments. I run all my own investments. Even for me, it takes maybe a total of 10 minutes out of my day, not including the time that I'm teaching other people, of course. But the reason why is because I'm just looking through the market. I can literally do it right now if I wanted to while I'm speaking, opening up the charts and I'm identifying what I'm seeing. I'm looking at Nike right now, and I'm looking at Bank of America. Do I see any opportunities? No. Keep scrolling. I see something coming up on Apple that I like. I like this a lot.
Okay.
Bam, I see it. I'm gonna analyze it a little bit further, then I'm gonna pull the trigger, right? It takes even less time for the people who I work with, because what do? I'm gonna send it out right now. There's an entry, so I'm gonna send it out like this. Nike
Yeah,
entry, right? Because there's an opportunity on Nike as well.
yeah.
Nike uh entry for puts. We're gonna be buying in below $70.22. So I'm sending out the exact price at which people are going to be buying in on that contract. I'm going to put something like cut loss above 71 and take profit at maybe 60 something, right? So I'm sending out the risk to reward built into every single trade so that it's a blueprint. And people only have to follow along with that blueprint. That's all that people need to do, right? I
Wow.
do it that way because I understand that learning is a process, and
Yes.
it's it would be too long for you to learn everything and then start seeing your own results. And
Yeah.
I want people to start being able to see results as they learn, right?
Oh,
Not just that, but even if you were able to learn everything, which I give you access to, I don't hide any information. All my website has all the video lessons of everything that's really relevant in trading. Um, Even if you could, trading a lot of the time is contextual, so it's very important. It's a team game, right? So I
yeah.
let other people leverage my experience by sending out my trades, right? So even the
Oh,
newest people that have only been with me for a couple of weeks, are able to start seeing profit because they just follow along my trades, the things that I send out that help you see that 30, 40, 50, 60% profit whenever they hit.
wow, wow. And just to put context for, because I'm into the I'm a professional myself, not into trading. I coach people in public speaking, executive communication, personal and career development. They always tell people, and if you find someone who has many years of experience and you can pay them this amount of money, I mean, the years they save you. But what I like about your methodology is that someone is earning while learning. And usually it's just that you learn fast and then you earn later. For you are saying, no, you'll be learning, but while earning from my expertise right now. So that's what I love about your methodology. And how many years of experience since you placed your first trade? Just to put things into context.
Almost a decade now, almost a decade. So it was at 14. It's gonna be 9 years soon. Yeah.
Wow. And your monthly membership, I know I had checked it out earlier. I just need to remember what it is now. How much is the monthly membership now? The
I
range?
love that question. Why don't
Yeah.
give me another guess? Give me another guess. I like that.
So now, if I hadn't known who you are and your vision and mission for those daily updates for what I've seen, it can be anywhere. Like the lowest end would be like $97 a month, then to as thousands of dollars, at least what I've seen before. But knowing what
That
I
is the
know
usual.
about, yeah, oh, pardon me?
That is the usual price in the industry. Not my prices, but it is the usual price. That's what
Yes,
usually.
but having listened to your story and your vision, I would say the highest could be like $49 or something like that. That's what I
Yeah.
would say.
So the highest and most valuable package is, you're exactly spot on. It's 49.99. Yeah, that's exactly the my most
Okay.
expensive package. And that is a flat fee. There's nothing else to it. I don't take commission. Whatever you profit is yours to keep. I'm only teaching you how to manage your own account, right? I'm never going to invest for anyone's behalf. Usually that's not very profitable if you try to do that with someone else. So it's better to learn
Yeah.
that skill sell, right? It would be a disservice to my clients if I said to them, hey, I'm not going to teach you anything. Just give me your money. I'm going to do it for you. That doesn't help anyone. I'm looking to change the game. I'm looking to give this skill back to the people. So that's my mission. And not just that, but like I said earlier, everyone's first month with me is $5. It's almost entirely free because I want them to learn, practice, and profit before ever having to pay. I don't ever want to get paid out of someone's pocket. I only want to get paid out of money that I already helped them make. So I want you to see first what this can do for you before ever committing to it.
Cool. Yeah, so I lost you a bit there, so I don't know what happened. So, but here is the one last question around your business is, for me, it's fascinating, but I know people who will be watching this, they could be internationals like I am. Is there an opportunity for internationals, or it's strictly for certain countries like US, Canada, and the like? So are there entries for that? And if there isn't, what options are available for internationals?
Good question. So yeah, typically it is somewhat limited to the United States, but not entirely. There are brokerages that you can use in any countries in the world. So even if you're in Uganda or anywhere really, you can download this one that I really like. It's called Interactive Brokers. It's a brokerage just like Robinhood, just like Webull, just like E-Trade, all the American ones. It's just like those. It just allows for international investing into the United States stock market. So yeah, it's not really an obstacle if you live anywhere else. It's not really a problem.
That's good to hear. So yeah, and I really mean that. So I'm going to take you up on that. Those numbers are exciting. I really mean that. I'm feeling chills in my body, and I really mean that. That's anything. I mean, if you're listening, I mean, anything 30 in a week. Are you kidding me? And to you, that seems to be on the low end. That's incredible. Meaning in a month, for you minimum, you're looking at doubling the money. If I follow the 30% on the low end, minimum, you're looking at doubling the money in a month.
No, absolutely. No, I'm gonna tell you because I'm very transparent with everything, right? There are some months when you do see that. There are some people, I've had people that have doubled, even tripled their investments within their first or second month within that range. I've seen that before. One of my other students who I work with very personally, he turned his 1,000 into 3,000 over the span of 6 weeks. So yeah, it is possible, but it is not my focus, right? Because keep in mind, it's a game of risk management. So here's what you're really looking at. Our trades have an 80 to 90% win rate. So 8 or 9 out of 10 trades are successful. On the trades that are successful, we're looking at between 30 to 40% profit. They last 1 to 5 days. And on the trades that are not successful, we're looking at a maximum loss of 15%. Right? So we always stand to gain more than what we stand to lose, right? We're more accurate than we're not. Obviously, a 90% win rate is fantastic. And on top of that, when we do profit, we're looking to make some big bucks and then walk out, right? That's it. A month, you're maybe looking at, again, it really depends because you're not trading with your entire account at a time. You should avoid that. I've seen people that have pretty easily doubled their accounts within the first 2 months. Yeah, absolutely. What I usually look at though, because I'm a lot more reserved and conservative when it comes to trading, naturally, because I'm working with more money, so I need to protect it a little bit more and be smart about it. I look at maybe increasing my account by a good 40% on a monthly basis steadily. That's what I do. Right? And that's still fantastic numbers. That's still fantastic.
Absolutely.
When you're one of the smaller guys and you're trading with a smaller amount of money and you don't have to put the amount of work that I'm doing into budgeting, you're going to be looking at more proportionally, right? Proportionally, you're probably going to be looking at making 80 to 90% of your account in that month if you do things right, you know? I look at less proportionally, even though it's probably more money. I'm still looking at proportionally less because I'm not trading with the whole thing at a time, not even 10% of my account, right? So that's, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Lastly, what are your top 3 or 5 books you'd recommend to people around money, personal finance and wealth creation? And 2, this one, I'm a parent. I have two girls, one who is 10 and who is 7, knowing what you know now, what would you communicate to your children, young children, such that, because my prayer is that they do much better than I've done. So what should I be telling them or teaching them at this stage?
Well, great question. Let's start with the books one. I'm big on reading, but I don't read too much about finance because I find that uh, Rich Dad Poor Dad is really the only book you need for finances. That's more than enough. Everything
Yeah.
else that I've read has been for discipline and leadership as an entrepreneur, which is probably more important to me. So,
Wow.
ask me for 5 books. I have a few right here that I love. For leadership, uh, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. That one's great. I already said Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you are really into needing to understand how to manage yourself entirely as a leader, not just with other people, but within yourself, the 48 Laws of
Yeah.
Power is probably my favorite book of all time. You should only read it if you're into entrepreneurship, though, because it is generally a dangerous book to read. Um,
Yeah.
if you're going to apply it to like your friendships and stuff, that's really stupid because the book is a lot about power dynamics and stuff like that. And honestly, you're just going to be really annoying as a friend if you try to apply that stuff to your friendships, right?
I,
Um,
I
40 Laws of Power, Extreme Ownership, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, The Stoics. You cannot go wrong with that. Beautiful book. It teaches you how to get into the mindset of what you control and what you don't. Um,
yeah.
that one. And I gotta say, mm, maybe this last one right here. Persuasion. This is a really good book for sales and for that exact same mindset that
Mm,
I talked to you about, where you want to get
yeah.
people to want what you have, you want people to come to
Yeah.
you, right? And as far as your question regarding children, what I would want my children to learn, knowing what I know today, it would be very simple. I have one thing that I would desire as a parent for my children. I would not want them to follow my footsteps. I want them to walk their own path. I would just say to them, whatever you're gonna do, if you want to, be a singer, a songwriter, an author, an entrepreneur, whatever you're gonna do, just be great. Just dedicate everything to that. We have one life, and so many dreams have gone to waste because we're afraid of what someone might say today that won't even matter tomorrow. Now that's funny, and now that's sad. uh because I mean, think about how far you could go if you didn't care about those things, because they're not going to matter in a year anyway. So I would just tell my children just to do whatever you want to do and do it fully and do it without regret, without remorse. Do it blatantly, be yourself in your entirety, and not let any opinions of anyone else tear that down. That would be it.
Wow. I love that. And how can people get in touch with you? How can people access your content? Especially that content of 30 or a minimum of 40% on an average of 40% return on investment. I know it's Stocks Uni, but just give us the website and any other way in which people can reach you or reach out to you. And yeah, over to you, man.
Well, that's good. Well, whenever you post this on the YouTube or your socials, you could put the link to my calendar. That's the way that I most prefer people get in touch with me because it lets me speak to them directly. Like I said, I don't believe in sales. I'm not gonna try to give this to someone that doesn't want it, right? So what do I much prefer? I much prefer that we talk first. I see what you want to get done and I see how I can help you. That's way more important to me. So I don't even like to send people to my website because to me that feels impersonal. Of course, you're welcome to go to stocksuni.com if you want to. That's stocksuni.com. But I much prefer people to reach out to me at my phone number. I do have WhatsApp for all the international people as well. My phone number is going to be 407-952-4871. And of course, in the US, it's +1. So +1 407-952-4871. I just want to talk to people personally because I don't believe ever in, hey, just go to my website and buy my stuff. No, no, no. Let's talk about what you want first, right? Let's figure you out. Let's see what we can do for you. Let's see your situation. Because I don't want to you to pay for something that isn't going to work for you, right? So I'm a big believer of that.
Wow. And that catches my attention in the sense that usually when people say call, reach out, it's because they are selling these big ticket items. where they know their phone call is worth hundreds of dollars. So for you, because I mean, for you, the rates that you're looking at, those are small ticket, really small ticket items. For the fact that you still want to talk to people, that alone is very inspiring. So I really, it's really very touching. And I mean that from the bottom of
Appreciate
my
that,
heart.
man. I love talking to people, man. I have some of these calls come through. I mean, on the calendar it says 15 minutes. I end up talking like an hour because I love talking to people. I love talking to people, especially when they're telling me about like, oh, their situation and who they are and their family and all that stuff. And I get very
Yeah,
invested into everyone because I love to see uh it, I love to see exactly what I'm gonna be helping. Right. So if I know that this guy's a family and he's got a debt and all this stuff, I love knowing I'm there on the call with him and I love thinking to myself, man, this guy is going to pay off his debt this year with just what I'm teaching. He's going to pay off his debt this year, or this
yeah,
guy's going to start putting some money into his children's future college or whatever it may be. You know, I love
yeah.
being on that level, knowing exactly what I'm going to be helping.
Wow, wow. I like that. So it's been crazy good talking to you, man. I thought this would be just maximum an hour, and we are way past 1.5 hours, if I'm not mistaken. It's been, I mean, I wish we could even go more and on. But then I'm like, okay, if we make it too long, will people listen to this? But I know they would still listen to it because you're so engaging and you're speaking from the heart. You're sharing personal stories, not a bunch of theories you read from somewhere. So and you have a generous heart and spirit. So for you who is watching this, I would encourage you to check out this guy. This is my first time talking to him. My producer set up the meeting. But trust me, I've interacted with so many people in the last 21 years. I've been self-employed. And that's one of the things I pray that if you're starting out, you don't make the mistake I made. Up to now, I'm still calling myself self-employed, but you see, I bought my self-employment. Instead, I should be talking of as an entrepreneur or business owner. So that's something I still need to get out of my head. So yeah, so it's been. I see a real deal when I see one, and that's really not to flatter you. I don't need to do this on camera. I could do it one-on-one, but yeah, this guy is a real deal. I can tell. Clean
Thank you
spirit.
so much, man. It's been an honor speaking with you as well. And, definitely we're going to, we'll sit back down here. I love that you got the show coming up. I'm very honored to have been your first guest. I'm excited for when, I want to see how much you grow. And I want to see, we'll definitely be here in the future again. I'll definitely be speaking with you again in the future. I'm so excited for everything that's in your journey, man. It's beautiful.
Fantastic. I'll definitely have you again because I know there's so much. We can take this in so many angles. So I'm looking forward to having you again. And so go check out stocksuni.com and send a WhatsApp, reach out to these guys, let them help you. And just to be clear, we're not getting any commission from this. I mean, this guy is a real deal. My prayer is that you experience much success with these guys. If nothing, even a call can make a big difference in your life. As for me, you can check me out, search for my name, Ethan Musolini. Go to youtube.com/Ethan Musolini, UG standing for Uganda. Follow me. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, now X, and Instagram. I'm there. Just follow me or go to Succeeding Daily. I have so many videos out there. So again, it's signing out here with the Personal Finance and Wealth Creation podcast. May the good Lord bless you and increase whatever it is that you're doing. All right, I hope you enjoyed this show. And if you haven't done so, please go ahead and subscribe, comment, like, share this content such that it can send a signal to the algorithms that this is great content. And of course, if you need more help, just reach out to me at ethanmusolini.com/coaching, where I can coach you from communication skills, personal and career development, and ways to thrive and become a better human being. And of course, if you want consulting and training services, you can go to success-africa.com, where we look at things from team building to customer service training and the like. And of course, follow me on social media. Just search for my name, search for Ethan Musolini. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, and many other platforms, and the description should be somewhere down below. Or just search for my name. Follow me, because then we are able to keep posting the content. So otherwise, it's great. I don't take your presence and attention for granted, and I hope to see you in the next episode. God bless.